want to start with the new study that had just come out. So what has come out of this new research?
Research just came out about a week or so ago that was some good news for parents and professionals. The overall prevalence of bullying in general is down from 32% to about 21% over the past 7 years. That's great news, but we have a long way to go.
When you see numbers like this, what do you think it means? Do you think it's more proactive approach? Do you think it's more awareness? What do you, is there any speculation to it?
There is. The good news is that beginning around 2010, with President Obama and others taking this problem very seriously and calling a conference together to really communicate the serious impact that bullying has on children, we all began to take it much more seriously. Schools intervened, developed policies. Parents realized that it wasn't just joking of kids being kids, that we recognized the impact it had. And when we took it seriously and parents intervened to protect kids, good things happen. And our kids are so much better today than they were a few years ago. But we have a long way to go.
When you talk about, I'm sure you see kids in your office, and so when you talk to them about bullying or being picked on, what are some of the things you might say to them to help them cope with what's happening?
We make a distinction between the kind of minor incidents of kids being kids and the more serious bullying. Bullying, remember, is an ongoing abuse that occurs typically over a several-month period by someone in power against someone who doesn't have power. If a child reports that type of bullying to me, I immediately advise that they go to someone they trust, their parents, a teacher, or someone, and report it, because younger kids need our protection against that type of thing. However, if it's kids being kids and someone making fun of the way someone dresses or looks, and physical appearance is the #1 reason why kids are being bullied, then we work with the youngster on strategies of how they can not take it so seriously, what they should do, what they should not do. The whole goal is to empower kids to protect themselves psychologically, because as everyone knows who's listening to this broadcast, we're going to go through life with people making fun of us in some way or another. We have to teach kids how to cope and deal with that in a positive way.
Is there a difference in dealing with it with younger kids versus older kids?
There is. With the younger kids, we're more apt to advise them to go to their parents. With the older kids around junior high, we're more apt to advise them on how to deal with it, what to say, what not to say, how to hang around and get support from friends, and frankly, not to take things so seriously. However, again, if it's an ongoing power imbalance that really is abusive, or where they do not feel physically safe, we always say to them, go to their parents.
And talk a little bit about teen suicide. Some people think that bullying, and teen suicide go hand in hand. Is that necessarily true?
Well, teen suicide remains a very serious problem, and the most recent research indicates, particularly among middle school children, there's actually an increase in the rate of teen suicide. We don't know why. It is kind of easy to point to bullying as a cause of someone killing themselves. However, the experts say it's really that simple. Unfortunately, when our kids take their own lives, which remains, again, a very tragic problem, it's typically a variety of factors. Bullying may be one of them, but it's typically many other factors involved with these kids take their lives, which again is so very sad.
You mentioned that teens or suicide is up in younger kids, and
Yes.
kind of what is the speculation when it comes to that?
Well, the thought is that these middle school children are a little bit more vulnerable because they lack the maturity to deal with some of the ongoing issues that kids have. But the one critical factor may be their more extensive involvement in social media, that they find social media in many ways to be a source of support, and they're very engaged with that. At the same time, it has a downside, and they may be more vulnerable when things get posted or rumors get spread about them, and that may be a factor responsible for the increase in suicide among this age group.
You mentioned it's very early in this research to even, which is why it's speculation.
Yes.
It's a 3 to 4 year trend. Is that what you had mentioned?
Correct.
Okay, so when doing research with experts, how long do they usually? What's the usual time period? Just so I can make a comparison, because I want people to understand it's early in the process. Does that make sense?
Yes. Over the past, we have a 25-year trend on the rate of suicide among high school kids. It has remained essentially the same, which is generally good news, although we sure would like it to drop down. ordinarily you'd like to see about a 5 to 10 year trend, which doesn't mean we should wait that long. We need to try to study now why it's increasing and intervene. And we know there's a lot of good strategies we can do to decrease the likelihood of a young person killing themselves, and we need to act more aggressively now on those strategies.
But when you're talking in that age group, what is that age group that has seen an increase?
Generally, you're looking at that kind of preteen to young teen, so you're generally looking at around that 11 to 14 age group, the pre-high school age group. And for those kids, we've got to get out the message that if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling angry, reach out to someone. And our young kids, unfortunately, still have a hard time with that. I still have many young people talking to me about their closest friend is their dog or their cat, and that's very sad.
Yeah, that is very sad. Is there anything else, anything you feel like I missed that I did not give you?
Let me just look at my notes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we talked about physical appearance. We talked about the decline. We talked about cyberbullying increasing a little bit. I think we're good.
Is there anything about what parents should say
To their kids?
You know, I mean,
Is there any warning signs that parents should maybe know about if their kids are being bullied? You know what I mean? And if they're concerned about
Yeah,
what's
okay.
happening?
So if a parent becomes aware that a child is raising a concern to them, the first thing the parent should do is nothing. Ask questions. Understand the problem. Don't quickly pick up the phone and call the school or call another parent. Just ask your youngster a lot of questions. Begin the conversation. And then come to a conclusion. Is this something that maybe the child could handle on their own? Or is it serious enough where a parent has to intervene? Parents make a problem.
Yeah.
Parents have a problem if they go to either extreme. If they never intervene or if they always intervene, that's a problem. If they can figure out that middle point of when they should intervene and just make it more comfortable for their child to come to them, that's the best thing the parents can do. Understand and coach if that's appropriate, or act on their own if it's serious.
And what about if you suspect your child might be a bully? Is there any warning signs, or how should parents handle that situation?
Well, the profile of bullies is pretty well established, and it really relates to two different factors. Number one, it's all about power. Bullies like to dominate other people, and if they have the opportunity to do that, they will do that. Number two, it's also about empathy. People who bully either don't feel the effect of what they do or they don't care. So these are two pretty obvious characteristics that if you are a parent of a bullying and you do see someone with either an empathy deficit or someone who is so domineering and so rude and so aggressive, those are the type of kids we want to get help for, because you don't outgrow that style, and that's going to be an approach that's going to be very difficult for that bully to be successful as he or she gets older.